It's a big day today for all of us in India. Chandrayaan-3 is going to make a landing on the moon, and we are going to be the 4th country to achieve this feat. So fingers crossed. I think we'll have the good news by today evening. So a lot of changes have been happening in last few years. Pandemic happened. It changed the way we work. It also accelerated the overall digitization that was happening in the enterprises. And now, if you look at it, people are back to offices. Employers are asking employees to come back and work from office, mainly to collaborate. So branches are definitely back. At the same time, there's a lot of conversation happening around AI, ML, large language models, generative AI. All of them have taken the center stage. So today, in next 60 minutes, I'm going to talk about what are the key things that you need to consider when you are architecting your branches, the branches for future. I'll also talk about how AI-powered digital experience management solutions will help you automate some of the things that you have to do in your branches, and that will make it easy for you to manage your branches. I'm Sapan Goel. I'm Director of Product Management for Prisma SASE in PaloAlto Networks, and I'm joined with my colleague Amol. Amol is Director of Technical Marketing Engineering at PaloAlto Networks, and I'm also joined with Mohit, my colleague in Prisma SASE. He's a Senior Product Manager there.
Hello, am I audible? Okay, awesome. Thanks, Apple. So just a quick announcement as we start. We'll be having poll and some quizzes to keep it interactive, and I got some vouchers to be distributed whoever answers correctly. So please be attentive, especially when Sapan talks. There are a lot of cues in the session that he talks about, which will be obviously the quiz questions. So like what Sapan said, most of the organizations are now pushing return to office, right? Which means a lot of load on the branches, right? And so we wanted to understand what are the key trends that you see in your branch offices, which is driving this factor. So open the poll, please. We want to hear you. If the mic can be circulated.
Yep. Please raise your hand and we'll get the mic to you.
There is nothing called a wrong and right answer for this. It's a poll. So obviously, please, if anyone can.
Yeah. Can you get the mic there, please?
Nowadays, we see a lot of people coming to office.
Okay.
That's one of the trend.
Okay, so a lot of people coming to office. Does that mean a lot of devices in the network or
Yeah, insufficiency in the management.
Okay, can I have your name and the company name that you represent?
Chetan Devadurga and Mercedes-Benz.
Oh, awesome. Okay, thanks, Chetan. Anybody else?
We see that a lot of people have to come to the office, and most of the companies have either reduced the number of seats or have hired a lot of new employees during the pandemic. Their sort of seats. So they are dividing in batches, like some people can come on certain days, some people can come on certain days.
So hybrid kind of environment, right?
Yeah, so that's working.
Okay, that's a good point. Sir, I think you had raised your hand, right? If you can pass on the mic, please.
We are from bank actually.
Okay.
We never faced the issue, we are public sector bank rather. We never faced the issue of absenteeism. But the trend has changed. Customer rush was there also, that time it was also there. And now also it is there. And knowledge gap and all those things.
So ever increasing
that trend
customer
continues
rush.
for us. So people in India, how they understand it, that will be the challenge for us.
Right, valid point. So I think that sets the cue for you, Sapan, to take forward. I'll just distribute the vouchers, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for, sorry, there is a hand up. Can we give the mic, pass the mic? Maybe we'll take one more comment and then we'll proceed with our discussion.
I'm from Bharat Electronics Limited. Actually, for us, there is a intranet and internet. We work for defense. Now, as well as we started working for general public. Now, the changing from intranet to internet is becoming trend for us and a challenge how to, security, how to take care of that from intranet to internet taking over.
Very good point, Swati. Thanks a lot for bringing it up. And to your point, when specific people, on specific days, people are coming to office, we all see that trend happening in the Bangalore traffic. There's a lot of traffic in Bangalore on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and very less on maybe Thursdays and Fridays, right? So thanks a lot for sharing your insights. Based on the customer interactions that we are having, we are seeing 3 key trends that are emerging with respect to branches. The first trend is the hybrid work. Most of the enterprises are going for a hybrid work model. They are asking their employees to come to office 2 or 3 days in a week so that they can collaborate with their colleagues, they can innovate with them, they can do design sessions with them, and all those things, right? So hybrid work seems like it is here to stay. Now, hybrid work throws very interesting challenges for the enterprises, especially for the branch offices. When our employee is working from office, many times they are still collaborating with their other colleagues who are not working from office on that day. And this collaboration is mainly happening on the collaboration tools. We have heard from our customers that they are seeing an increase of over 50% traffic that is originating from the branches and going to video collaboration tools. So that is putting a lot of strain in the branch networks. The other key trend that we are seeing is all around branch digitization. So basically, what happened was, during the pandemic, there was a sudden increase in amount of applications that transition from your data centers to your cloud. So there's a lot of traffic that is getting generated from the branches, and it is directly going to the cloud. So that is again putting a different kind of stress on the branch networks. The third key trend that we are seeing is around complexity of the branch networks. Branches are no longer about users and applications. There's a lot of Internet of Things devices that are there in the branches. And we need to make sure that we consider these devices when we are talking about branch architecture and security in the branches. So these are the 3 key trends that you will see, and these are the trends for which we need to architect our branches to make sure that we are able to handle these transitions. So the truth is, the legacy solutions that we had for branches, these solutions will not work for the challenges that we are facing today and the challenges that are going to come tomorrow. So we really need to think about what are the new solutions that are available, especially for branch offices. Many of our customers, they still have a traditional approach to branch connectivity. When I say traditional approach, what they do is they have a branch router installed in the branch. The branch router connects to either a broadband link or a MPLS link, and the traffic is sent over to the data center. Effectively, they send all their branch traffic to the data center, and the entire security stack is at the data center. After the entire security processing, the traffic is hairpinned to the right destination. It could either be to the cloud, or it could be an application that is there in the data center. Now, this hairpin approach is not good enough approach. And this is a challenge that the enterprises are facing. And if we look at the Gen 1 SD-WAN solutions, they are mainly built for this hairpin kind of a model, which becomes very difficult to manage. What are the other challenges that we have in Gen 1 SD-WAN solutions? So Gen 1 SD-WAN solutions, they don't support an active model of redundancy. What they do is, the Gen 1 SD-WAN solutions, they have an active backup model. And in active backup model, what happens is, you are sending a traffic on the active link. Only when the performance degrades below a particular threshold, you start using your backup link. Your backup link will become active, and you will start using the backup link. Now, there are 2 challenges in this approach. The first challenge is that you are not using what you have paid for. You have paid for 2 links, whereas at any point of time, you're just using 1 link, because the other link is backup link. The second key challenge is that there's no traffic that is being sent on the backup link. And since there's no traffic being sent, there is no guarantee that when you start to send a traffic on the backup link, that link will not face a similar issues that were being faced in the primary link. Because of these challenges, the Gen 1 SD-WAN solutions are very reactive in nature. Effectively, to solve for a problem of failure, there's a feature of active backup that has been built up, but because of this challenge, many times this feature will not help, and you will see that you are losing application connectivity. The other key challenge of Gen 1 SD-WAN solution is with respect to intelligent traffic steering. The Gen 1 solutions, if you look at, they are bookended. When I say bookended, it means that they look at the performance, especially network performance, between the device in the branch and the data center. And they are mainly looking at the layer 3 performance, which include parameters like packet latency. It includes packet loss, packet jitter. Now, is this sufficient? Is this sufficient for your business critical applications that are residing in data center, or they might be residing in the cloud? So for getting good information about the applications, you just cannot rely on the WAN links. You also need to consider whether your applications are having very good connectivity or not, whether there are delays in accessing the application. So you need to consider your app level SLAs. So the Gen 1 solutions, if you look at, they just focus on the network SLAs, and they don't take into consideration the app level SLAs. The third key aspect that is missing in Gen 1 SD-WAN solutions is around security. There was no consideration of security when the SD-WAN solutions were built up at that time. Now we all understand, we are in a security conference, we all are security practitioners. I think security is critical. So the only way in which you can secure your network with a Gen 1 SD-WAN solution is you hairpin the traffic back to the data center, and from there you send the traffic out. Again, this hairpin model is very rigid, it is very complex, and it is very cost prohibitive. The second approach that you can take is you can get this entire security stack that is sitting in your data center, you can get this stack into each of your branches, right? Now imagine, you have tens and hundreds and thousands of branches. In that case, you will have all these security tools for inspection sitting in all of these branches, and imagine the complexity that you will have. It will become a management nightmare to manage hundreds and thousands of branches. So thinking about security is very critical, and it has been missing in the Gen 1 SD-WAN solutions. If you look at it, the Gen 1 SD-WAN solutions, the promise and the premise of these solutions was mainly to provide connectivity for the applications that are sitting in the data center. That was the time when these solutions came out in 2015 and so. The main target was the applications and their connectivity for the applications which are sitting in the data center. But if you look at it right now, the applications are moving towards the cloud. You have applications in cloud service providers, you are using SaaS applications, you have a lot of traffic going to the internet. So there's a huge transition of applications that is happening, that has happened in the last 3 years, and it is continuing to happen from your data centers to cloud, to SaaS, and to internet. Now for giving a very good user experience for users who are accessing these applications, you need to make sure that you have direct to application model in your branches. And I'll talk more about direct to application model, but these are some of the critical things that are missing in the current SD-WAN solutions. So this is like going to a grocery store looking for apples, whereas what you're getting is half-eaten apples. So Gen 1 SD-WAN solutions are like that for the enterprises.
Time for quiz. Okay, so I think we heard Sapan talking about the challenges. Anyone wants to kind of quickly recap? Yeah, I think there.
So first one, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear
Yeah, so first one is about the network layer. It supports only at the network layer, not application to application connectivity. And then one is about the active-active. So it doesn't support the active-active.
Okay.
And then last one is about the security.
Okay, I think we can give it
Yes,
to her.
awesome. Thank you.
Cool. All the 3 points covered. Thanks.
All right, let's move on. So when we are talking to our customers, one thing is becoming very, very clear, that the transition from branches to SD-WAN, it has not been able to solve the challenges that the customers are facing. And we really need to look at something different in terms of architecture. That's why what we are proposing is, we are proposing a SASE for branches. So SASE for branches, it brings together your security, your connectivity, and your automation. And it brings all these three things together in a very compelling and powerful manner. Let's look at how SASE for branches can really help you architect your branches for tomorrow. When we talk about SASE for branches, or when we talk about next generation branches, or the branches of future, our recommendation is you need to look at these 4 aspects when you are architecting your branches. The first one is your branches should be very elastic in nature. The branch connectivity should be elastic. This is very, very fundamental for your branches. This is to ensure that you get flexibility, you get availability, and you get capacity in your branches. So you need to make sure that your branch networks are elastic in nature. The second key thing that you need to think about is app-centric SLA model. Your users, your end users in the branches, they really don't care about your network SLAs. What they care about is whether they are able to access a particular application, and if the performance is good when they are accessing that application. So what you really need to worry about is app-level SLAs. The third key thing is to provide zero trust security, not just for your users, your applications, but also for Internet of Things. And the fourth key thing that we should think about is AI-powered ops. AI-powered ops will help us to bring in deep observability, deep automation, so that it becomes easy to manage your hundreds and thousands of branches. So these are the 4 layers which are important when you are architecting the branch of future. And what I'll do next is I'll touch base on each of these layers and how you can achieve each of these components which are important for your branches. Let's start with elastic networks. And let's see how we can make a powerful elastic networks so that you get good connectivity from your branches. If you look at SD-WAN solutions, the fundamental aspect of SD-WAN solution is to provide connectivity based on various technologies that are available for WAN links, be it 5G, be it LTE, be it broadband, or our old MPLS connections. And all of this should happen in an active-active model. Active-active model is very important, and the reason we don't suggest active backup model is mainly because it's not just the poor redundancy model, it is also a very expensive redundancy model, because you are just using half of the bandwidth that is available to you. So active-active model is very, very important. In case of Prisma SD-WAN, Prisma SD-WAN operates at layer 7, application layer. And we are able to define policies at an application level. Once you define the policies at the application level, the product will make sure that we are able to select the right WAN connection link that is available in the branch so that we are able to meet the requirements of that particular application. We talked about elasticity, but elasticity is not just enough. It's important to have resiliency as well. The way Prisma SD-WAN solution is built up, we ensure that you continue to get 100% of the WAN link that is available, the WAN bandwidth that is available across multiple links, even if there is a failure in one of the devices. Let's take an example of this. Let's assume that you have 2 branch devices in your network, and for each of these devices, you have a separate WAN connection. So let's say device A and device B, and you're using a connection A and connection B. Now, let's assume that because of whatever reason, your device A goes down. When device A goes down, if it was a standard routed-based traditional network or a Gen 1 SD-WAN solution, you will see that you will lose connectivity for WAN connection A. And this will reduce your available WAN bandwidth on the branch by 50%. With Prisma SD-WAN, we have a functionality for fail to wire. This fail to wire functionality enables us to continue to send traffic through the device even when the device is in failure. So this way, when the device A goes down, the traffic will continue to get forwarded even if it is in failure, and it will be handled by device B. So this really helps us to deliver good resiliency for your branches. Now we have all these networks, we have all these branches, and what we need to do is we need to build a network fabric so that the users from all these branches, they can connect to applications that are residing in various locations. Now, if you have to do all of this yourself, you will have to deal with a lot of routing complexity. Imagine creating all these IPsec tunnels from one location to all these other locations, and you have 100 of these branches. So this is a lot of routing complexity work. With Prisma SD-WAN and Prisma SASE, we have made it easy to create networks. We have made it easy to create network fabrics. And how have we done that? We have done that because we have a centralized controller architecture. This centralized controller architecture helps us to have a centralized controller which talks to all these branches, and it creates a full mesh overlay enterprise network based on your configuration. It takes care of managing, maintaining, and updating the entire network topology on its own. It automatically builds the end-to-end connections. The centralized controller also takes care of automated routing configuration, so you can easily build this entire network fabric even if you don't have a lot of routing knowledge available.
It's a quiz time again. So, okay, what are the benefits? I think, ma'am, I'll give chance to the gentleman behind. Yeah.
Harindrajit. You are asking about the benefits of...
Benefits, yeah. He talked about 3 specific benefits, if you can.
The first benefit is, since it is an elastic network, right? So you are giving a active-active connection, wherein even if one node goes down, still the traffic will flow through the other one.
Perfect.
And in the second portion, when we are talking about fabric-based means application, in the sense app connectivity, so in that case, it is automatic, right? So it takes away the overhead of configuring connectivity for applications on that perspective.
Any specific word that is used for that?
Fabric-based app routing, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll hold on a point. A third
no
point?
issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, and third point is what I am interested in the third topic, that is the AI-based ops, right?
Benefit of elastic network, it's still not there.
Okay. So elastic network also supports multiple networks, in the sense it can be cloud-based or MPLS-based. That is also, it
So he talked about third benefit, which I think you kind of missing
maybe
it
I missed
out.
it. Yeah.
Sorry, if you can hand it over to ma'am. Okay, resiliency.
With controller architecture.
Okay, and what does that help us to do?
Easy to create network.
a deployment,
With us,
right?
yes.
Awesome. Thanks. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So if you look at our Prisma SD-WAN solution, the Prisma SD-WAN solution supports intelligent traffic engineering. And the solution actually differentiates itself in the SD-WAN vendor market because the functionality is really differentiated from other SD-WAN vendors. We just don't do the network layer 3 based performance metrics and take decisions based on that. The network 3 performance metrics can include things like your packet jitter, packet loss, and packet delays. We also take care into consideration various layer 7 application level metrics. And these application level metrics include things like application transaction time. It could include application fingerprinting. It also includes things like what is a codec that is negotiated between a client and a server. In case of video applications as well as your voice applications, it take into consideration the MOS scores. So we get all these different kind of metrics together, and we are able to find out what is the application performance that the end user is getting. So with this level of application intelligence, we are able to find out that the user is not getting a good performance, and we need to maybe shift the traffic to an alternate WAN connection that is available. So this is the great aspect of delivering your app-based SLAs. Let's take a look at it with an example. Let's assume that there's a user in a branch who is doing a video call. And when the user is doing a video call, the system is continuously monitoring all these parameters with respect to the video call. Apart from layer 3, layer 7 parameters, in case of video call, we will monitor things like MOS score. And system will automatically identify that the performance metrics of this call, the performance of this video call is going below a particular threshold. And when that goes below a particular threshold, the system automatically triggers the switchover of the WAN circuit. So the call traffic starts going to an alternate WAN circuit that is available, which is giving a better performance. For an end user, the impact is that they get better performance. So there's no impact for the end user. They just get to see the better performance, and all this happens in the background. If we look at it, right, the things that we talked about, they are not just important for applications that are hosted in your data center. They are also important for applications which are in your cloud, the applications which are maybe the SaaS applications, because you might be using various business critical applications such as Outlook or SharePoint. These are the SaaS applications. So all these things that we talked about, layer 3 to layer 7 monitoring, is also valid for these kind of applications. And our system can monitor layer 3 to layer 7 for all these applications, and we are able to do a intelligent traffic handling for these applications. Now let's talk about the third layer in our 4-layer model, which is around zero trust security. We talked about direct to app model. So direct to app is important so that you get good user experience. When you are in the branch, you don't want your traffic to go to the data center and from there to go to the cloud or to the cloud application. You want a direct access from your branch. And that really helps to have a good end user experience. Now, if it is a single branch, you can create all these connections from the branch to all the locations where you have these applications installed. These locations could be your SaaS application, it could be your cloud application, it could be in your data center. But imagine a situation when you have more of these branches. Again, maybe for a couple of them, you can still manage it, right? But what happens if you have tens and hundreds of these branches? Suddenly, all these connections, they will all become a matrix connection. And just imagine the complexity of managing this entire matrix of connections that will be there. It will be so much challenging to really do it. So what do we do? Our proposal is that what we need is, we need a highly distributed multi-cloud security service that should operate in the middle, and it should provide the capability so that you are able to connect all your branches to this service, and this service should have the capability to connect all the locations where you have your applications. This multi-cloud security service should have all the security applications in the service so that you have one consolidated place where you are implementing security. And this is exactly what we have done with Prisma Access. With Prisma Access, it's a global service, it's a cloud service which is available across 150 locations globally. Wherever you have an office, you will find the nearest POP for Prisma Access. So this service also has a lot of security applications that are already built in as one single unified cloud service. Now let's look at how this service of Prisma Access really helps us to secure all our apps and all our users. If we think about security, you think about various use cases, right? The use cases are things like, if you want to do application protection, you think about CASB. If you want to do the internet security for your users, you think about SWG, Secure Web Gateway. When you think about the private application access and the security around it, you think about firewall. And you want all of these things should follow the zero trust network access model, right? So these are different application level securities that you want to do. So with Prisma Access, what we have done is we have unified all these services, all these security elements into a cloud service, which is a completely integrated cloud service. It is a completely unified cloud service that offers all these aspects of security. So you don't get a fragmented view of different security use cases. You get all these security services in one single unified cloud service model. That is what we have achieved with Prisma Access. When you think about your branch networks, you don't have to just think about your apps and your users. You also have to think about Internet of Things. Look at any branch network. You will see printers, you will see cameras, you will see all these sensors. It could be motion sensors, it could be your temperature sensors. So there are all these kind of IoT devices that are actually coming into your branches. And all these devices are adding to the vector of vulnerability for your branches. And if you look at it, in last few years, the number of these devices have really grown. So if you look at it from that perspective, your overall attack surface is increasing. So you really need to take care of IoT security for your branches. So how do we support that with Prisma SASE solution? As I mentioned before, we have two components of Prisma SASE, Prisma SD-WAN and Prisma Access. Prisma SD-WAN is a device that gets installed in your branches. Now this device will see all the network flows that are happening in your branches. The network flows will be your broadcast traffic, such as all your ARP traffic, all your DHCP traffic. So if you have an IoT device in your branch, it will be generating these network flows. And our device in the branch will see all these network flows. It will pass all this information to Prisma Access in the cloud. And in the cloud, we will have the AI and ML models. Using these AI ML models, we are able to identify that this device is an IoT device. We are also able to classify a device, that what kind of IoT device is this. We are also able to identify that this device is from this manufacturer. And once we have that level of details, you can define any granular security policy that you want. So this really helps you to have a good IoT security for your branches without need of having an additional sensor in your branch, which is huge, right? Because you don't have to manage another device in your branch just for IoT security. Prisma Access also has an integration with our IoT security solution. And with this integration together, we complete the entire holistic IoT security solution for you, for your branches.
So just to add, from the IoT perspective, we not only talk about these sensors, CCTV cameras, printers, or IP-enabled devices. This could even go to a manufacturing plant, which is the OT assets, in this case, the PLCs, the SCADA systems. In case of banks, it could be ATM machines. In case of your, obviously, enterprises, it could be any of the IP-enabled devices. So where we are not differentiating between which industry, it's actually industry agnostic, just to add to that particular point.
Thank you.
Well, the quiz time. I think you all have seen this slide. I'm sure I will want to give a chance to this side. If anybody wants to attempt this, what are the 4 specific security applications that Prisma Access provides to, yeah, ma'am. First name, and if you can give your company name as well.
Neha Wells-Fargo. It's firewall.
Firewall, okay.
ZTNA.
Okay,
SWG.
okay.
And CASP, I think.
Yeah.
CASP.
Any
CASP.
your-
Yeah,
okay.
last one, I think.
Okay, but any full forms you know about those?
Zero Trust.
Okay, I'll
NA
still give
2.0,
You still
I think.
have, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe ma'am wants to attempt. You can just-
So one is CASP, which is Cloud Access Service Broker,
Okay,
Zero Trust, ZTNA, and
Zero Trust, NA stands for?
ZTNA Network Access.
Okay.
Another one is SWG, which is Secure Web Gateway.
Correct.
And the last one is Firewall Services.
Awesome. Thank you.
ma'am. Your name and company name?
Chetna from Cisco Systems.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. All right. I'm sorry? We'll have the Q&A at the end of the session. Yeah. The 4th layer in this 4-layer model is around AI-powered ops. This is all about automation. This is to ensure that we are able to automate the manual tasks that are there in the branches, and we are able to make it easy for you to manage your branches. Artificial intelligence is no longer the theme of sci-fi movies. It is everywhere. It is changing the way we work and we do business. At PaloAlto Networks, we strongly feel that the future of SASE is AI-powered. Artificial intelligence, data science, and machine learning, these technologies are transforming industries. And we feel that there's a huge potential for AI in SASE. There are 3 key areas in Prisma SASE in which we are working, and we are using artificial intelligence to transform these areas and to cause massive outcomes for our customers and our end users. The 3 areas are security, SD-WAN, and operations. Now, how do you get these massive outcomes? Any project to do with data science, it starts with data. And your data has to follow 3C model. When I say 3C, it means the data has to be complete, the data has to be consistent, and data has to be correct. Let's understand what each of these 3C means. When I say complete, the data has to be complete for the problem that you are trying to solve. Because if you don't have data for all the sets of things, you will not be able to find the solution for the problem. The data has to be consistent. because if your data is not consistent across your entire domain, you will not be able to use this data to really understand what's happening in your network. And finally, data has to be correct. I think this is no-brainer, right? If data is not correct, you will get incorrect outcomes. Garbage in will always result in garbage out. So these are the 3 C's of data, which are very, very important if you want to have artificial intelligence-based intelligence in your network. The way we have built Prisma SASE, we have built it in a unified manner. And we have built it in such a way so that we are able to take the advantage of data in data science. If we look at point product vendors who have not really considered about these 3 C's of data, they will not be able to use the transformative power of AI and ML. In case of point product vendors, they will have different products for different use cases. If it is an internet security use case, they'll have secure web gateway. If it is an application security use case, they will have a CASB product. If it is a private application access use case, it will be a ZTNA product, and so on and so forth. Now, if you have different products for different use cases, you can never have a common data set. You will have all these different data sets, and the data will not be consistent. And you will never achieve 3 C's of data. And if you don't get to 3 C's of data, you will never be able to use the transformative power of AI and ML. This is what we have done differently at PaloAlto Networks. And this is what really helps us to offer great value for our customers and end users. In Prisma SASE, we have an ingrained component which is called ADEM, or Autonomous Digital Experience Management Solution. ADEM is a functionality that is natively integrated into Prisma SASE. It is integrated into all the components of Prisma SASE fabric. You will find it everywhere in Prisma SASE, and it makes sure that we are getting those 3 C's of data. When we talk about ADEM, or Autonomous Digital Experience Management, ADEM consists of 2 main components. The first is observability. We launched observability about 4 to 6 quarters back, and it has been really appreciated by our customers. Because with observability, they are getting deep insights into their entire network. We are able to give deep insights into various segments of their network, and this is really helping them to find out the parts of the networks in which there are problems. So it is helping to quickly identify the problem areas. If you look at the observability problem, and if you have to solve it yourself, you will end up deploying all these nodes at various locations. It could be a software monitoring nodes, it could be a hardware monitoring nodes, but you will have to deploy all of them at various locations in your networks. And if you deploy it at various locations, just imagine the complexity that you will have. With Prisma SASE, it is natively integrated. When I say natively integrated, what I mean is you really don't have to deploy any additional node. You just enable this functionality, and you get all the benefits of monitoring. About a quarter back, we also introduced a functionality called AIOps, which again runs on the observability data that we have collected and that we are collecting. With AIOps, we are able to automatically do the incident detection, incident diagnosis, and we also give you steps for remediation. This really helps you to detect the problem quickly and also to remediate your problem in a short span of time. I'm sorry, we are not connected to the internet, so that's why it popped up. Oops, sorry for that. We ourselves are protected by our PaloAlto GP client. So moving on. As I said, ADEM is natively integrated into all components of Prisma SASE. We have ADEM running on our agent, the GP agent. It popped up at the right time. We have ADEM running on our SD-WAN device. We have ADEM running in our Prisma Access cloud infrastructure. With ADEM running in all these places, we are able to get insights about the end user's machine. We are able to get insights about how many browsers that are opened on that machine, what is the CPU utilization, what is the memory utilization, what is the quality of Wi-Fi that the user is having. With ADEM on Prisma SD-WAN, we are also able to get insights into at a connection level. We are able to see which connection is performing better, which connection is performing worse. Now imagine if it was not on the SD-WAN device and you had deployed a separate device or a separate tool for ADEM, you will never be able to get this level of insights from your branches. In our case, because it is on the SD-WAN device, we are able to understand the application traffic and get real details about the application traffic with respect to the WAN connections as well. Inside the infrastructure, in Prisma Access infrastructure, we get details about connectivity to various applications, and we are able to consolidate all this information, and we put all this information at one single place, which is called our cloud data lake. We put and consolidate all this information in CDL so that we can achieve those 3 C's of data, and we can use this for artificial intelligence processing. Now I'll hand it over to Mohit. There's nothing better than actually seeing a demo of what we have. So Mohit will take us through the observability part of ADEM solution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So oftentimes, nothing better than getting visibility, getting into the action, right? So on this screen, what you're really seeing is your global layout of your environment, or like how's your branches are deployed across different region. So let's take an example that there are users sitting in a different branches, and some of the users reported that they are unable to access one of the ERP application. So as an administrator, what I do is I log into my SASE console and navigate to the dashboard. And here, what I see is most of my branch locations are really functioning well, and there's no issues at all. However, there are some handful of branches where there is something is wrong with it. So as an administrator, I think that, hey, what's going on those 4 branches, right? So it can be either a Wi-Fi issue, which I need to look into it and fix, or there may be some issue with the WAN link. So to investigate further, what I do is on the left top corner, I just click on the drop down under connected site, which actually gives me the details about the branches or the sites where there is some issue exists, right? So it highlights those branches and also gives me the category on which I can, basis of those category, I can filter out those issues. So the first category is there may be the issue is related to the SD-WAN device, or there may be the, is it a SD-WAN path is degraded, or there is some network service is unavailable, right? Or maybe there is some data connectivity or reachability issue, or the application performance is degraded, right? So what I do is, in this case, is I click on the first option to really look into it, what is the issue with my SD-WAN device. So I click on it, and it actually gives me the details about okay, out of 4, there are 3 locations where there is an issue with the SD-WAN device, okay? So to dig further or to get more details, I click on one of the location, and it gives me certain details, the connectivity to the connectivity of that branch, then what all data center it's connecting, and then what's the experience score. So in this example, what's happening is this branch is actually connecting to 2 different data centers, Santa Clara and San Francisco data center, and there is some performance issues and then disconnects. And because of that, my experience score is degraded to 20. Okay, so that's how I get the visibility and what exactly is happening with a specific site. Yeah, And finally, if your incident tool is also integrated with the system, then you get visibility into like what all incidents are open and related to this site. Yeah, so you get the details about like what's the title of those incident, when this incident was created, and what's the incident ID. And furthermore, like if there were any incidents created or resolved in last 24 hours, so that visibility you get from here. So that's how, like from the observability perspective. Over to you, Sapal.
Thank you, Mohit. Clearly, so you can get everything with respect to your branches from one single console. You don't really have to go to different places. You can start at a high level, you can further drill down and go to a problem area, and you can start debugging and solving your problems from there. So this is what we have done for observability. Clearly, we did not sit idle after this. We started talking to our customers and started understanding the next set of challenges that the IT teams are facing. When we were talking to them, we found two key challenges that the IT teams were facing. The first key challenge was around poor end user experience. With all these monitoring tools in place, they only hear about the problem after the problem has happened. What that means is, user is on a Zoom call stopped working, they raise a ticket, and then the IT team comes to know about it. In the meantime, the user experience has already suffered, the business is already impacted. The second key challenge they shared with us was that more was expected with less amount of IT team members. The business is growing, but the IT teams are not growing at the same pace, which is actually resulting in taking longer for resolving the tickets. And this is putting your entire networks at risk. So these were the two challenges that we heard when we were talking and interviewing the IT teams. To solve for these two challenges, what we have done is we have embedded our AI in all the components of the SASE fabric. I already spoke about collecting a lot of data from various locations. We talked about users, we talked about branches, we collect data at an app level. We are also collecting data at a network service level, which could include things like your authentication service, it could include things like your DNS service. And we also have the data about the security policies. Now with all this data that is there in one single data set, we are able to apply various proactive and predictive analytics algorithms. And by applying these algorithms, we are able to detect the problem. And many times, we are able to detect the problem before the problem happens, or in real time. And once the problem is detected, by correlating all these events that are raised in the system, we correlate hundreds of events that are there in the system, and by correlating all of these events, we are able to also diagnose the problem. For example, if the users are not able to access a particular application in 5 different sites, we automatically diagnose that the problem could be a link that is there to the data center. That link is choked. So instead of you going through hundreds of events to diagnose a problem, we would have done that automatically, and we would have created one single incident for you, instead of hundreds of alerts that you would have to go through. So we are able to diagnose the problem automatically, and since we are able to diagnose the problem, we are also able to give you steps for remediation. In case of remediation, we can do automated remediation, in which case the system will automatically implement the steps that we are recommending you. But based on our interactions with our customers, what we have heard is the network teams are really not comfortable in automated remediations because they want to keep control on their networks. If something wrong happens, if the automated remediation results in something wrong in their network, they will get all the blame. So what they want to do is, they want to do a manual remediation. So we have given an option. When we give remediation steps, we give the steps and we let the admin take care of remediating the problem. So by doing this, we have automated the entire day 2 operations for you, starting from detection, diagnosis, and remediation. Again, we'll go through how it works. Over to Mohit.
So now, coming to the same dashboard, right, to understand how that proactive and predictive analytics works. So in this case, again, AI comes into the action, right? And I'm going to take the same example what I've taken earlier. So like users reported that they are not able to access the ERP tool, right? So what I do is I open that, like I again navigate back to that location and open one of the incident, right? And here I get the incident detail. So rather than like populating hundreds of alert, yeah, and confusing the IT, like where exactly the issue is, so my system will actually do all the diagnosis on the backend, right? And tells that where exactly the issue is, okay? So the system will tell that, okay, so there is an issue that the branches are unable to connect to the data center, and because of it, the users are unable to access that application, okay? And based on the available data, like last 30 days data, we also identify what's the blast radius or the impact. Like here we can say that around like 465 users are impacted. So this is something like, we have seen that around these many number of users are like access that specific application in last 30 days. And they're again going to see the problem, and they may be, these users are spread across different branches, right? On top of it, like as Sapan mentioned, we also give the recommendation playbook, right? So either you can actually follow the recommendation playbook and then apply the fix manually to fix the issue, or there is an option to apply the remediation automatically also, which ultimately save the time. And here, like, you get all the details about what incident is created, yeah, and then what is the severity, what's the ID, when it got created, and the other detail. And the last piece about the AI ops is proactive incident. So this is something interesting. So what happened is, whenever there is any ticket is created, so my proactive incident actually predict what is the impact it's going to create on a user or on a branch level or at the application side, like if it is going to degrade any application performance, right? So what actually it does on the back end is it runs the AI ops engine and then correlation model at scale on whatever the data we have collected in, like, let's say in last 30 days, and build the like adaptive baseline with distinct seasoning. So it actually helps us to understand, like the system to understand that what is going to happen next, right? So with this, like finally the IT will like learn about like what is going to happen next, and they can actually take action more proactively on those, like what issues they are seeing, right? And it saves the time, yeah? And again, like they can apply those fixes using the automated remediation or manually. Over to you.
Mohit talked about impact analysis. I think that is huge. I've heard so many good feedbacks from the customers about it, because the biggest challenge that customers were facing was, hey, I have these 10 incidents, which one should I prioritize? With the impact analysis at a user level, we are able to give you that these many users might be impacted because of that incident. So you can take that as an input while prioritizing which incident to start looking at. So we are at the end of the session. I just want to summarize. So if we look at the top 3 things that Prisma SASE really offers for your branches, the first one is we have a next generation SD-WAN solution, which is inbuilt into our overall Prisma SASE solution. This next generation SD-WAN solution, it offers you elastic networks. It offers you flexibility, availability, and capacity for your branches. The next generation SD-WAN solution also implements app level SLAs. As we already spoke about, the end users, they don't care about your network SLAs. What they really care about is what is their experience in accessing our application. So app level SLAs, they are the real game changers. The second key benefit that you get from Prisma SASE solution is around integrated ZTNA security, not just for your users and your apps, but also for your IoT devices, which is again huge for your branches. And the third key benefit is around AI-powered ops. AI-powered ops really bring in automation. It brings in deep observability into what's happening in your network. It helps you automate some of the work that you are manually doing, and it is taking you days and weeks to really find out a problem and resolve a problem. So it helps you to reduce the overall MTR. It helps you to free up time for your resources so that they can spend time on more strategic activities. This is what I wanted to share. Thanks a lot for listening. And now we can do a Q&A. Yeah. Can we pass the mic, please?
No, just
Oh,
can
okay,
you
sorry.
elaborate a little bit on those application SLAs that you talked about? Especially I'm interested in how do you define transaction time, transaction failures? Because the app guys look at it very differently.
Right.
Correct? So that's kind of what I was interested in.
Sure. So basically what we do is, goes through us, we are able to identify, we have a concept of app ID in all PaloAlto products. And that same construct is also integrated in our Prisma SD-WAN product. So we are able to identify a particular application, and we are able to identify the traffic of that particular application. So now, based on the application type, we have different metrics that we can collect. So as I said, for video traffic, audio traffic, it could be a MOS score that we are collecting. So based on that, we can define different SLAs. So you can actually define policies in the product, and you can define your own SLAs for different applications. And those SLAs are taken into consideration when all this analysis happens. That's right. I think there was a question there, yeah.
So my question, the locations that you mentioned, it's across globe.
Yeah.
Currently, I think your Prisma Access locations depend on the compute location that you have.
That's
and there are challenges which I could see is for countries where you don't have compute locations, but your Prisma Access locations are accessing compute location from different countries. And so due to that, there are some performance issues from user because the compute location is not nearby countries.
Okay.
And the organizations has presence on those countries. So do you have any roadmap to consider any other compute location from any of other your vendors? So what I understood as of now, you are with a GCP and AWS, right?
That's right.
So what it takes for a PaloAlto to consider another compute location? Does it demand of customer, or let's say how many customer demands then you try to consider another compute location for that country?
Sounds good. Thanks a lot for asking that question. Compute location is. So there's a difference between a compute and the edge location. So edge location is mainly for localization purpose, so that the traffic coming in from that location is identified that this traffic is coming from this geography, this country, this city, and all of that, right? We have 100+ edge locations, and compute locations are the places where we do all the security processing. So the traffic from the edge location is sent to the compute location where we do all the security processing. We have 50+ compute locations. So what happens is the traffic comes in through the edge location, edge or compute. So compute also acts as an edge location. So that's why I said 150 as a number. So the traffic comes in based on the mapping of edge to compute. If the security processing is required, the traffic is sent to the compute location. But we are able to carry that the traffic came in from this particular location. So that's the background of this question, and thanks for asking it. Now, with respect to our expansion, as you rightly said, we are on GCP and AWS, so we are using top 2 cloud providers that are there, that are available across the globe. And this really helps us to scale very fast, because as soon as there's an AWS data center, AWS location in a particular country, particular city, we are able to scale up our locations in that area very fast, AWS or GCP. We continue to work with them so that we can have more and more locations. So if you look at the roadmap for last 1 year, we have added at the minimum of 15 locations in last 1 year. And I'm talking about compute, many more edge locations. And that is something we'll continue to do. So we have a roadmap to add more and more locations. So for example, we recently added a third location in Australia, which was a Perth location in the west of Australia, because our customers were demanding for that. So we added that location. Similarly, we are in the process of adding more locations in the JPAC region, in EMEA region, so that we are able to provide all that coverage. So we'll continue to work on this. We continue to evaluate where our customers are, where their offices are, what are the needs that they have, so that we can provide the best-in-class latency for these customers. So that is a process that we follow. We continue to work with local geographical teams, our sales teams, our customers, to evaluate the priority, and we'll continue to expand on that.
Understood, thank you. My question was relevant to this. Let Prisma access to find out a compute location because of dependency, as you said, for your vendors.
Yeah.
It is sort of that organization has to find out another solution along with the Prisma access to ensure that those countries' locations are not impacted. Because at the last, as you rightly said, currently the matters is user experience. It does not matter what you have, right?
Yeah, so I think for that one, as I who are having this thing, so if you are having a need of a specific location around the globe, I would highly recommend we can talk about this session, about that specific location, and we can bump up in the priority if there's a huge amount of requirement. Or you can talk to your PaloAlto representative and it will come through to us to make sure that it gets into our roadmap. Generally, I have not seen it takes that long, unless there are very less number of customers in that region. Thank you. Thank you for that question.
As far as I understood, the entire payload as such moves from the branch to the your edge or compute locations, right? It is not limited to the telemetry data or the metadata.
Yes.
Right? That being the case, how are you ensuring the privacy of the information that is being sort of transmitted? And you are going to process that.
Yes.
And if I'm not wrong, the data is also going to traverse multiple regions. So how would you actually ensure the privacy of that information?
Good question again. Accessing your data center application, and if you have a direct link to your data center, you can route the traffic from that device directly to your data center. So we support that functionality. So you can have a SD-WAN fabric to connect all your branches and all your data center. In that case, this traffic will not come to our cloud. In case you want to send a traffic to our cloud and you want to do a security processing of that traffic, generally you would want to do that for the traffic that is going out on the internet to a cloud application, to the application hosted in CSPs. In that case, yes, the traffic will traverse through our data centers. And with respect to localization and geographical thing, for example, if we talk about India, we already have 3 locations in India. We have location in Mumbai, in Delhi, and in South. So we have 3 locations already. And the data will traverse through one of these locations. So it will not go outside of the country. So if we think about the sovereignty of the data, it doesn't traverses outside of the country. And this data is all data in motion. We don't store this data which is traversing through our cloud. So that takes care of the security aspects.
But if it is a remote user who's traveling, for instance, who's out of the country, so how would that then?
So in case of remote users, depending on which all locations your users go to, so let's say you are an Indian company, right? And let's say your users travel frequently to US. So in that case, what you can do is you can have a gateway or our cloud service spin up a location in US so that users connect to that location. And from there, the traffic goes directly out to the internet. And all this information gets consolidated into one data lake. Now it's your option whether you want that data lake to be in India or you want that data lake to be in US. So you can decide where you want that data lake. If you are an Indian company, you will prefer that data lake to be in India because you are more governed by the Indian laws. So that is how we take care of sovereignty. Did that answer your question? Sorry, can you use the mic?
I think this needs a deeper discussion. I think we'll take it offline.
Sure. I'll be around after the session so we can have the discussion.
Let's say as a PaloAlto user, I'm using the product and my team is operating the product. How would I know that whether the capabilities of product is utilized in a fair manner? The top features which are provided by Palo Alto are actually utilized in a meaningful way. Is there a dashboard or some sort of information available for the product owners?
Yes. EPA tool, which really recommends you what are the things that you should be doing on the product. And again, that tool is being used by all our customers. The tool will tell you that this is a security policy that you should have. These are the security tools that you should be using. This is what you have bought, you have not enabled it, and all those things. So that is one way which is inbuilt into the product. The second way is we have a customer success team. Whenever you buy Prisma SASE, we also assign a customer success team to work with you. And the customer success team will have a regular cadence of interactions with you. And in those cadence, they come up with what are the things that are happening in our solution, in our service. They will share those details with you. And they will also offer you best practice assessment out of that tool, as well as from their experience, what they have seen. So these are the two ways in which we handle this.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
On the point you mentioned for data localization for India new law. So let's say if it is a global organization and now we have different countries' law, is it possible that PaloAlto do the data localization in different location? Let's say for countries for Europe, it is in somewhere in Europe. For countries in India, somewhere in India.
Product. So what you can do is you can have different tenants for India, different tenant for Europe, and different tenant for Americas if you want data localization in local geographies. And if you have different tenants, you can configure that every data of this tenant should go to this particular CDL location.
Does it mean that multi-tenant can talk to each other as a one fabric?
They will not talk to each other, but it can be managed from one single portal.
Oh.
So you can define common policies across all these three tenants, and you can define everything that is common across these three tenants. In case you want to have different like role-based policies for different tenants. So for example, if you have an IT team which is in EMER and you only want to give access to that tenant to them, you can also do that. So we have management layers so that you can manage these tenants separately.
Understood. But the single tenant, it is possible or not? So I'm from Fujitsu. I have a global presence.
Okay.
And I'm the customer of PaloAlto for Prisma Access. Now with new government law of India, there is for data localization that is required. Do you do any sort of bifurcation on data lake that can bifurcate the data from India versus from rest of the region, which can be localized to India on any other format?
So currently for one tenant, it goes to one particular CDL, but we can discuss about what this ask is and then we can. But current way is one tenant maps to one CDL. You can have different tenants for different countries if you want.
Okay. One last question on AA Ops, what you said. For Cortex Data Lake, it is AA Ops, right?
Yeah.
Does it also provide some sort of dashboard which say if it is top 10 incidents or might be top?
Yes, we have detailed dashboards. Amol, you want to talk about?
So I think, so it does have options. So it gives you dashboard on what threats were detected, how many malwares were stopped, so on and so forth, and also gives you whether you are using the service or not in effective way, right? So AOps does that as a retrospective and futuristic way.
Thank you.
Right, I think we can close the session. Thanks a lot for your participation. I think all of you found the session useful. Really appreciate you giving us 1 hour to hear about our product. Thank you.